corn nuts from there.
Go swallow.
Holy shit.
No. Like my lime juice went everywhere but in the Corona. Okay. Ugh.
Your microphone's really good. I could hear you eating corn nuts the moment you walked into that room.
Are you serious? Oh, I thought you were gonna. I was like also telling Kenny about your that like the disease or whatever you have of like not being able to listen to people eat food. It's called something like that, or I guess maybe it's not a disease, but a phenomenon or
misophonia.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, you
So I
have
was
it too.
Well, with I guess do I?
With nail clipping?
Mm.
The sound of nail
Does
clipping?
that fall in the same category?
So basically, it's just like when certain sounds like enrage you, which is the only way I can explain it. Like if someone is really close to me chewing something loudly, that's it fills me with a rage where I like I have to like breathe carefully and like control myself. Like it's so weird. And my family all knows it, and they like Patrick knows not to eat cereal around me, or like, you know, like there's just certain things that I can't handle. But or Sophie, like she knows. She like goes and she like stands far away from me if she's eating like certain things that make sounds.
Yeah, so I'm sorry about the corn nuts, but I thought it was just food, but I guess that's kind of the same with like my family. Kenny like the first time, I think I had already told him, like I pre-warned him, but sometimes I don't know that he quite hears the first time. Because then he was like doing it. He's like, what? I'm like, I told you. Like, I have this problem. And he's like,
nail clipping?
About? Yeah, like I told him well in advance that I couldn't, like I can't be around that sound. But I guess he'd forgotten, or it was just kind of like one of those like, yeah, okay. But didn't like really register. So then it was like this sudden shock when I like flipped out and was acting like a lunatic. I was just trying to pre-warn you, but
here, okay.
We have to introduce ourselves.
Let's introduce ourselves.
Okay.
Hi. Welcome to the worst day of my life. My name is Cherish.
And I'm Megan.
We are recording on Zoom. We figured it out.
Yes.
With the help of many people.
It only took like I think like 40 minutes. God.
We got it.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of that recorded too, which is going to be entertaining to someone someday. I knew it was going to happen. I knew we were going to have a hard time.
Technical difficulty. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just kind of what we do.
Yeah.
So I wanted to tell you real quick, as of right this moment while we're recording, 1,234 listens.
Holy mackerel. Wow.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Weird. That's always a strange phenomenon, but I like it. Yeah, I'm curious about how that all works. Like how who or how. I don't know. I have no idea.
But that's apparently a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about any of this stuff, but I've had other podcasters this past week ask me what we're doing to advertise ourselves.
That's hilarious. They were like, I don't even know how to advertise myself.
No. And they were like,
no, I have no idea.
I know. And they were like, what can you listen to my podcast and give me some pointers?
Really? Oh, wow.
We don't know what we're doing. I'm sorry. I can't.
Well,
we're doing really good apparently. It's weird.
Yeah. I know. I was kind of because Kenny and his friend did their like video podcast, and then I was trying to amp it up because it's on YouTube. So I was like, subscribed, liked, like sent it to people that I thought would,
I did it
like
too.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
But I was like trying to help get that, like that, because sometimes you do go on like a YouTube video and it's like been posted for like 5 years and it has like 1 view, or something, is like trying to figure out how to get it like circulating out in the world, and I don't even know the process. Or
we're not paying for any of this. Yeah, this is just a lot of really wonderful people. 43% of our listeners are between the ages of 35 and 44.
Oh, thank goodness.
I know.
I feel ridiculously immature sometimes, and like I'm like think that our listeners might be like 14.
No.
Like my maturity level. Okay. Well, that's good.
No, not at all.
Okay.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like a lot of people our age.
That's cool.
It's great. And it's so funny. Like I was listening back to like episode 1. We're like, don't do drugs. Don't do drugs. And it's like, it's women our age, like we don't have to tell women our age not to do drugs. So like fucking do drugs if you want to. But we kept apologizing for talking about diarrhea. And by like,
oh yeah.
And like by now it's literally in every single episode we talk about diarrhea. Every single one.
Yeah. Should we change the entire podcast title to
Diarrhea Hour with Meghan and Cherish?
Yeah.
Explosive diarrhea.
Explosive diarrhea. Well, at work, like my coworker and I back in the day, if any one of us had diarrhea, we would always say like, like Ed's in town, and Ed stood for not erectile dysfunction, but explosive diarrhea. And those circumstances are like, oh, Ed just called, got to take this outside. And then that would be like our code to like, we're going to the bathroom, don't come in there or be anywhere near the bathroom for like the next, 2 hours, because it was always pretty bad. But yeah, Ed. Not that.
When I first moved back to Olympia from Seattle, it was like 20 maybe, and I got a job at the old Spar bussing tables, and I was like really good at it, I was like it's like really
bringing in those tips.
It's like really fast. And I worked bussing the tables of Gina, who's like, she had worked there since the time she was like 18, and she was in her 60s maybe at this point. So she had worked at the Spar specifically for that long. She might still work there. I mean, God only knows.
Wow. Yeah.
But she is a large woman. Nothing wrong with it. However, the Spar had like, it has that like long bar that people sit at. Can you hear me okay if I'm sitting back here?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. So it had that like nice long bar with all of the like bar stools along it. And on the other side of that, there's like this narrow area where the wait staff have to like go through between the kitchen and the bar.
Yeah.
And her going through there would mean no one else would be able to pass through. She would just come walking through, and she would just go beep, 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 beep. And you had to like, that meant like, get out of my way. And you would have to dive up onto the counter and put your feet up and everything so that she could get through, because she was coming through. And then you could like climb back off the counter and get down.
I like how you gave the physical demonstration.
Yeah, I had to. You had to climb. Yeah. Okay, but the whole point of this is that she also had a term that she would come walking down the ramp way at me, and she'd go, I need you to watch my tables. I gotta go to the office. Which was code for I'm gonna go take a shit for like 45 minutes or so. Like, watch my tables.
Yeah.
After McMenamins bought that place, they not only kept her on as staff, because she's been there a million years. She's like an icon, you know. But they, know when you go to McMenamins properties and they have like custom art on the walls and stuff, they have art on the walls that has like 18 or 19-year-old Gina, like a total hot babe, like blonde, gorgeous waitress with her little like beehive hairdo.
Nice.
Like leaning on the counter and stuff. It's so cool. That company is so awesome. But
is it? Yeah. I mean, I would think so, but I haven't worked for them, but I haven't heard anything bad.
I did. They're fucking.
You did, and you're saying so to be true.
They're fucking rad. And I think I wouldn't say that about every place I've ever worked.
Yes. Oh yes. Yes. I trust your judgment on that too. Yeah, I still can't believe that the place that we met was just like, I'm glad that we worked there because we met each other.
Yeah.
But holy crap.
Megan and I met working both at a large medical practice in Olympia, Washington. I don't remember exactly when we started talking, but I think you just came out in that parking lot and I was sitting in the back of my sweet ass Geo Tracker smoking a cigarette, and you were smoking too. And I think
smoking 2 cigarettes at the same time.
Probably.
Yeah, that job stressed me out to the max.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Yeah. You had started, or you got transferred, I think, from that other location.
Yeah, I had already been working with that company for years.
Yeah, so you were already kind of just like a badass on the scene of you could tell you'd been there, you knew what you were doing. Yeah, but I remember like you always like had cute hair, you were like always wearing cute clothes, you looked like you knew what you were doing, you kind of looked a little mean because you're RBF or whatever. It's like not like in like
no, it's true.
Workplace.
In the workplace.
It's not a bad thing. It was like a sexy, you look like a lady who's just like, now I'm trying to backpedal, but it wasn't, it was just like, ooh, sexy? This lady is like, well, yeah, because you just like kind of like walk around.
I was a very serious, I was a serious ass businesswoman back then.
You were serious. Okay. I'm sorry I called it RBF.
No, it is. I know. I have resting bitch face. I've been told that many times
in the workplace, because I don't think that you have that on your off time. I think you just have to look kind of serious at the workplace. But if you take your job seriously, you're going to look serious.
I think it's just my concentration face. I've got something to do and I'm doing it. And back then it was like, on my ADD medication stuff. So it's very like focused.
Yeah. You look just very focused.
Yeah.
Well, I admired that. That's all I'm saying. And that is why I was intrigued by like this person, you. And yeah, I don't know at what point. I think we just had to kind of talk to each other through like intercom, or like it was like, we had to communicate now and then. But I think we just sort of maybe realized that we weren't like, that we were maybe, not to say that other people in the office weren't cool, but like, I felt like we
fell in friendship love.
Yeah. So, and to me, I guess like back then, like sitting out on the back of an open geo tracker and smoking cigarettes definitely did seem like, really cool. So it's like, I probably asked you for a lighter. I don't know.
Probably. I bet you that was it.
Who knows? I don't know.
Smoking, I don't do it anymore. I'll never ever do it again. But you know what? It brought me to you.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the reason why I smoked in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if I could smoke one single cigarette, I would. There's so many times where I would, but I know that if I even touch one, I will go back to smoking all the time because I loved it. I loved it. And
no,
I'm an addict and I can't not have one. So I'm not going to ever.
I was talking to my coworker about when I remember like my mom smoked Benson and Hedges menthol light 100s. And this was like back in the day when you could send your child to like the convenience store with a note, basically giving them permission to buy you cigarettes. Yeah, my mom would send me and or I guess probably my brother to go over to the like the Quick Mart or whatever and just say, hi. And it was so embarrassing because it was like, hi, can I have a pack of Benson and Hedges menthol light 100s, please? And then you have to be like, no, in the hard pack, because they like try to ask you if you want the soft pack. It's like, no, in the hard pack.
She trained you guys to say that?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And yeah. And so, but that was like the first kind of cigarette that I smoked, which was shocking that I even tried to develop like a cigarette addiction after that because they were so foul. Plus, they were like usually extremely stale because like nobody else was ordering Benson and Hedges menthol light 100s. So they were just like the ones that sat on the shelf for, ever. And then, but yeah, I remember we thought we were really cool. Me and like a group of friends sitting in the jacuzzi talking about how we were plotting to steal cigarettes from my mom. And we were in the jacuzzi and we had the jets going and like the jets, you know how you like tend to talk louder. She was just like sitting in the apartment, I guess, with the window open, and we went inside and she's like, so I understand you're planning to, steal my cigarettes. And like all of any other weird, horrible plans we were probably making, up to do. Ugh, gosh. Yeah. It's just something that I don't like to tend to think about how long I've been smoking cigarettes, considering how old I was then.
Yeah.
And how old I am now.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. How did you guys get them? Did you do a Hey Mister?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Scumbags.
I remember we did a Hey Mister one time and we had a bag of change and we roller skated to like the convenience store with like, this giant ass bag of change.
What year was this?
This was like, I was 15, I think.
Okay.
I think I was 15 because it was before, it may have been like early 16.
I was hoping it was in the 80s, but it wasn't.
Well, no, I wasn't smoking in the 80s, but no, but it was, the 90s, the early 90s, I guess. And so, but yeah, we rolled over to the convenience store and we were doing the Hey Mister, and the mister that finally helped us actually told us like, keep your change. And he went and bought us the pack of cigarettes. And then he came out and proceeded to tell us, because he also had what later I found out was his wife in the car. He was an off-duty police officer that he told us that he was like, and so we, of course, immediately once he told us he was an off-duty police officer, and I think even showed us his badge, we all were about ready to like shit our pants. And then he proceeded to tell us that his wife had kind of like nudged him, but been like kind of like one of those, oh, do you remember when we were that age and we were doing the same Hey Mister, and I guess she told him to like get us a pack of cigarettes.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it was really weird. It was really weird, but it happened.
Huh.
Yeah. And we had another little convenience store where it was actually kids like operating it. I think they were like probably maybe no more than like 13 or 14 years old. And they were selling just like, that's who was selling us cigarettes in high school and like beer and stuff. Yeah. What was funny is my mom always thought that it was like what she considered to be my skater trash boyfriend that had been a bad influence and like got me into smoking. Mm-hmm. But I remember he would actually like take my cigarettes and like break them in half or flush them down the toilet. He was always like really upset that I was smoking and worried about me. But I was like, no, Mom, like it's not him, it's me. Like I decided to be a scumbag smoker on my own. Mm-hmm. Anyway.
It's fine. I loved it. Yeah. I really loved it. It's tough. It's like one thing that I'm like super proud of myself for.
I'm really proud of you too, because especially, like that's really hard for me if I'm around like a cigarette smoking situation, especially if drinking is involved. And even if I go out with like set in my mind that I'm not, going to smoke a cigarette, even if I am around other smokers, it's like that doesn't hold for very long for me personally. So I am very proud of you. You should be very proud of you.
Husband
yourself too.
Number 2 and I were supposed to quit together, and I quit and he didn't. And he continued to smoke, like not only in front of me, but like in my car and shit.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I'm having a really hard time not smoking right now. Can you not smoke in my car?
Yeah.
That's your decision, not mine. I want to hear about your near-death experience, please.
Oh yeah, we wanted to talk about near-death experience. So
might pee my pants, but
you might pee your pants because of my near-death experience, or just because you need to go and you're holding it?
I need to go and I'm holding it. Why don't
you take a break?
Let's take one. Yeah, before we start that. Okay.
Yeah, we'll take a potty break.
Okay. Potty break.
2 and 2.
I made a similar sound when I sat down.
Nice.
Yeah, I want to know. I have never heard about you having a near-death experience.
Well, yes, this is like kind of going further in depth about my other eye problem. But I was like 8 years old, and I lived in a cul-de-sac, and I had a bicycle that I would just kind of, ride around the neighborhood or whatever. And on this particular day, I was zigzagging, like doing that, what I've always, ever since then, if I see somebody like doing zigzagging, I'm like, yo, that is dangerous. Because I basically was like quickly zigzagging down the road, and then I hit a rock and just like went catapulting over my handlebars and like landed on my face.
Oh no.
And so I ended up like fracturing the orbital rim like underneath my eye. And so on my left side, and it like caused like horrible like bruising to where I looked like I was like a raccoon. Like like black eyes, like on both eyes, like super swollen. There's not really anything that they could do for it because it's like, your face. So that happened. And then I want to say that I'm trying to think of like the sequence on the timeline. This is like so long ago, 1 or 2 things either happened and I can't remember, but I think what had happened is I had gone to visit gone to Disneyland like with my grandparents, and had gone like out was in the sun all day kind of thing. And I think I'd recently gone to Tucson, didn't get a lot of sleep, whatever. So suddenly like I got really sick, and I developed like what they originally thought was conjunctivitis, because like my eye was like really red.
That's just pink eye.
Yeah, right? Pink eye. Yeah. So no big deal. Like went to the doctor. They started treating me for that. And but it wasn't getting better. It was like actually getting worse with the treatment. And then so much so that my entire head swelled up like the size of a basketball.
Oh no.
Like, excuse me, I'm burping. So my face swelled up like the size of like this basketball. And my mom was kind of getting nervous because I was getting really, really weak. So she'd take me, back to the doctor. I remember going to the doctor like a lot during this time. Because I was becoming so weak, they started giving me like steroids. Yeah. But not oral steroids. They're actually like injecting them into like IV. My like thighs. Well, like no, they would put them, like just directly, I guess, in like subcutaneous, not subcutaneously, I guess. Anyway, so I was getting those on a daily basis, like for an entire week. And I just kept getting like worse and worse and worse. And so, and I like had like super high fever. really sick. So I think, and this is at the time we lived in California. So I'm pretty sure that my parents took me maybe to like just a regular, emergency room type thing. Because it was like, of course, after hours type, time of night when I was getting really, really sick. And then they transferred me to like the Children's Hospital of Orange County. And nobody knew what was going on. Like, didn't understand why I wasn't responding to like medication, and I was just getting worse. Because they didn't know what was going on, they like put me in quarantine. Like I had to be like in isolated room. Like I couldn't have visitors coming in or anything like that.
Jesus.
Yeah. But the cool thing, I guess, about it then is like, that was when we were like very involved in the church. And so I was like getting all this cool shit. Like I was getting like stuffed animals. I was getting balloons. Like I had like my room was like full of all this stuff. My mom was like really big into prayer and like the prayer chain.
Yeah.
So like the church was praying for me. People were sending stuff. And because it was a Children's Hospital of Orange County, it was like a lot of the patients there are, like terminal or like kids that are, fighting like leukemia and things like that, which was pretty like scary to me because I didn't really understand fully what was going on. But I just remember, when I had gone, like down the hall, it was like I could see all these kids, like, clearly were really not, either not doing well or
heartbreaking.
Yeah. So they had me in this like isolated room, but I did have a couple of celebrity visitors. One being, Donny Osmond. Yep. And somewhere in my belongings, I think if I still have it, is they signed an autographed like headshot of Donny Osmond wishing me well.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I felt cool.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
And then the other guy was at the time, and I don't know who he is now, but he was some kind of like NASCAR race car driver. I didn't know who he was then either, but I was just like, oh, cool. Like, just like, but they couldn't come in the room. So they just kind of had to like wave to me. But yeah, I started getting like, and I just also felt really, really like I felt sick. And I remember, this point where I felt like, I remember trying to get out of my hospital bed and trying to go to the bathroom, like on my own without assistance. And, maybe it was just like I was going to pass out. I don't know. But I just remember that sensation of just like, it felt like I was like falling and falling and falling. And like, there was like no depth to my fall. And it really freaked me out. And I also remember watching like a shit ton of I Love Lucy. Like that was like, like super comforting to me. And that, remember when I had asked you if you had a VCR in your
I was going to mention that later.
Yeah. I think it was like from that, because they had the VCR in the room, and like I was just like watching a lot of, like I Love Lucy reruns and whatnot. But the whole experience was like really scary. And they were also doing construction like on a building that was maybe, next door. So it was very bright in my room, like all hours of the day, like day and night. So in the middle, like the night, it was just like, you could hear like construction vehicles and stuff. And I kept ripping my IV out of my arm. So they had to like attach my arm to like a 2x4 and to keep my arms straight, because I was like bending it. It was just like really uncomfortable. I couldn't sleep. Yeah, really scared. And,
how old were you again?
I was like 8.
Aww.
So yeah, I was a little baby Megan. But yeah, I mean, I guess like, it got to the point where my organs started shutting down, and they had just come to the conclusion that they tried, they just like kind of trying everything, and to kind of just prepare my parents had to prepare themselves for the possibility that, like I was just, not gonna make it through. And I've seen like tons and tons and tons of doctors too. And then finally they just decided to give like an antiviral like medication, like I guess like a try, which was I think like acyclovir, but like an intravenous version of acyclovir. And suddenly it was like I just like totally had this like turnaround. Like I started just, like kind of getting like, oh, like not, I wasn't like fully 100% okay, but I was definitely like showing
Perking up.
huge improvement. Yeah, huge improvement. Because at first they thought they were going to have to send, like, as I was improving or continuing to improve, they were going to send like an at-home nurse to keep giving me like, this intravenous cyclovir. But what they ended up finding out is that like they finally, like a doctor finally looked underneath my eyelid, which I remember being like really creepy because they like just take your eye and like turn your eyelid inside out. But I had all these like sores under in like the inside of my eyelid, which they said they weren't, I think at the time they might not even be sure if it was like herpes zoster or herpes simplex, but it was like, a version of herpes, kind of like shingles. And that's like when, when I was talking before about the eye thing, and that it was kind of, like the person commented, which I was surprised, somebody else had some like other eye.
In our Facebook group, somebody also has had herpes in their eye, just like you.
So. Yeah, which it's crazy because if it goes into your like optic nerve, it's just the whole thing is just like, I guess, really dangerous. That's why now, because I still will get like reoccurring, and like those types of infections, like they're usually in my nasal cavity now, or like I'll get them in, like I have one right actually now, like on underneath my nose. But like it's when they go into my eye. Yeah, it's when they go into my eye. But luckily I have, I always have a bottle of antiviral at my hand's length. But I just remember when I found out that it was herpes, I was just like, I think I told some kid at school later on, I was like, I get herpes in my eye. And they were like, what happened? Like, did someone jack off into your eye?
My
like,
God.
Oh, herpes in your eye. Like, just, being like not understanding how that works. But yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Oh my God. So do you think if that doctor didn't look under your eyelid?
Yeah. No, it wasn't
you
going. It
died?
wasn't going. It was not going well. Like we had the church, like I think that was like they were at like last rites type mindset.
Holy
was like
shit.
how sick how sick I had gotten. So it was just like this crazy. Yeah, but I do remember, like, even as young as I was, I really did feel like I was like dying. Like it was almost like kind of like this weird acceptance that you kind of like almost come to, just because I wasn't getting better. I was just getting like weaker and weaker. And I just had those moments of strange clarity where it was just kind of like almost like just like a peaceful like succumbing to that, but not at the same time wanting that to happen, but just kind of like, just being that sick, I guess. I don't know. It was probably, it's definitely the sickest I've ever been. Like both Savannah and I had scarlet fever and got really, really sick. Kind of like really high fevers, but, and I think even then, like I remember hallucinating, and I think when I had the infection in my eye, like I got to the point where my fever was really high, and like that same kind of thing where you start like hallucinating shit or, like doing weird stuff. Yeah. But anyway,
never had a fever that high.
Yeah, it's gnarly. It's weird. It's like you almost feel like super. I can only kind of equate it to the point when you start feeling that sensation, like on, like we're always talking about going into, like when you've taken enough like mushrooms or something, where it's like you feel the shift and it's kind of like a warming feeling, and you almost feel like you could just like become like one with like the earth, like this melting soil feeling sensation. But it's not good. It's like your breathing is weird. Like you just feel very detached. Like you don't, like your hand isn't a part of your body. Like you see it, but it's like everything's just like very like surreal and not, I don't know. I guess I can't, it's hard to describe, but
wow,
having a fever that high. Yeah. And just like, it's just kind of tripping out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's just your brain being like, fuck this. Like I'm going to sleep.
But that is
Holy shit.
What the closest that I feel that I've, other than, I think that's definitely there with the closest I felt like to being to like that point.
Yeah. Mine, I was just at work one day and I went to lunch and came back to the office and looked at my right arm, and it was swollen and turning purple. And I was like, that's weird. I have a bunch of like stupid allergies. Did I like eat something that I'm allergic to? Did I get like bitten by, a weird spider or something? Like, I didn't know, because it was a very clear line. It was like normal skin color, purple.
Yeah.
So,
oh gosh, really freaked me out.
Instead of like getting, going to the doctor just then, I was like, I'm just gonna wait for the night and see what happens.
Yeah.
So I wait for the night and see what happens, and wake up the next day, go to work. My arm is still purple. I start like Googling things and get a little freaked out and decide to go to like an urgent care clinic. So I show up at the urgent care clinic, show them my arm, and they're like, you need to go to the emergency room right now. I go to the emergency room, and they found a blood clot in my chest. It was 6 centimeters long.
Yeah, that is so nuts.
It's so gross.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
They're long. Like I always imagine a blood clot as like a ball, like a little ball, but it's like a snake, like a big long, gross.
Like in your. Yeah.
So they basically take a whole bunch of blood, test it for a whole bunch of different things, and say, we're going to figure out why this happened. Are you a smoker? At that point, I hadn't smoked for over, 8 months or something like that. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
Are you taking birth control pills? No. Do they run in your family? No. None of this stuff. So they're like, all right, well, we don't know why it happened. Here's some blood thinners. Take these. We're going to set you up an appointment with a hematologist. Go home. So I go home, start taking the blood thinners, which is like its own nightmare. Terrible, horrible. I don't wish that on any young person. But
like the side effects?
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Basically, I would get like nosebleeds suddenly, and it was like like an urgent situation. It was like it would not stop. Or like I cut myself camping one time, just a little teeny tiny cut, and it was like scary, like a tiny little scratch, but it just bleeds and bleeds and bleeds and bleeds and bleeds and just doesn't stop. That it freaks you out, and it's terrible. And this kind that I was on, the kind that they put old people on, warfarin, is they have something in the ER that acts as like a reversing agent for that, where they can, inject it into them and get their blood to clot if they need to.
Yeah.
The medication that I was on, they didn't have an option for that. Like they told me, like, if you get into a trauma situation, if you get into a car accident, something like that, we're not gonna be able to stop the bleeding. Like, you're gonna die. But the other option, the warfarin, I had to like monitor my diet and like go on like adjust the dose if I was taking in a certain amount of like vitamin K or vitamin C or whatever. Then I had to adjust my dose of work. I was like, I'm gonna fuck that up. I can't. I'm sorry, I cannot do that.
Right.
So I took the other one, which is why I had to stop riding my motorcycle. I had to stop, like, I couldn't even go on hikes or anything, because if I were to scratch myself, it was terrible.
Yeah. So, it sounds like everything was like a high risk. It's like
not
walking
only
down
that,
the road.
not only that, but when you're a young woman who still menstruates and you're on blood thinners, it's a fucking nightmare. It's like non-stop, heavy, terrifying, like can't go to work kind of bleeding. Yeah. So anyway, they sent me home on blood thinners. I assume it's no big deal, you know, go on with my life, go see the hematologist. She goes through all my blood work and she's like, I have no idea why you got this blood clot. It doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. She's like, there's nothing in your blood work that would suggest any of these illnesses that would, you know, cause that. I don't know. I'm going to send you to a vascular surgeon to take a look at you. Maybe he'll know. So another week passes by. I get in with the vascular surgeon and I go and see him. He reads over all my stuff and sees what happened. And he goes, they should have called me when you were in the ER. You've been walking around with a blood clot sitting in your chest for 2 weeks. Yeah. He's like, that is so dangerous, basically. Like, and taking blood thinners at the same time, which could, you know, cause it to dislodge. And the next place that it goes when it dislodges is to my lungs. So he's like, we need to get this blood clot out of you as soon as possible. This is like a Friday afternoon or something like that I'm in this guy's office. And I said, okay, but I've got a wedding this weekend that I have to shoot. So can we do it like after that? And he was like, okay, I guess so, you know? So they scheduled me, and that was that wedding that you came and helped me with, where they had like tequila and tacos and oh my gosh, it was so much fun.
It was like Polsbo area.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. We have listeners in Polsbo too. Hi, Polsbo.
I like Polsbo.
I know, I love it. So he gets me into surgery. I have the first surgery where they go in, they put in this wire. It goes like up in through your arm, like the upper part.
Oh yeah, I remember you telling
inside
me about this.
Of your arm. It's like a wire, and it goes in there, and they feed it up through the vein or artery or whatever into where the blood clot is. And then they have to it has like a little sprinkler head at the top of it, basically, and they pump this enzyme in that like dissolves the blood clot to like get rid of it. And then the plan is, once that's done, they can put this little like mesh thing in there and like pop the vein back open and leave it so that it can like flow blood correctly. So, but this first surgery was fucking terrible, and I have to explain why, because this is my very first surgery of my entire whole life at this point. And I'm supposed to be in what they call quote unquote twilight sleep, which is you're supposed to be asleep, but they're supposed to be able to like slap you on the face and be like, hey, we need you to take a deep breath. And then you're supposed to take a deep breath, and then but you're supposed to still be like out of it. But I was awake for the whole fucking thing. Like I was laying there. I've told you, I think, but I don't know how many people know, but that's like a common thing for redheads to have anesthesia not be as effective. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody knows more about this than me, but from what I understand, they teach doctors that it's like a common thing, that like some kind of genetic mutation, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, it can happen. And I'm kind of intrigued by things like surgery. So I kind of enjoyed watching it, but I didn't enjoy feeling that like wire crawling up the vein in my arm and going into my chest. And then they were like take a deep breath. And I took a deep breath, and you could see it on the screen, like go back. And then they like, when I take a deep breath, something like opens and they like shove it in really deep, like really fast. And I could feel it like sliding down like into my lungs and shit. Oh, so gross. But anyway, so I had to be in the ICU after that. And that's right before this surgery. That's when you were asking me if I needed a VCR.
Yeah.
No, you asked me if I had a VCR in my in my hospital room. And I said, no, Megan, it is not 1985. I do not have a VCR. I'm sorry. But it was a very sweet thought either way. So,
well, thank you.
This fucking thing that they insert into my chest has to stay in for at least 24, maybe 48 hours to dissolve that blood clot, because that blood clot's been sitting there for so long. It's like a big, gross, sticky mess, right?
Ew. Ugh. Yeah.
So
should we have like warned people of squeamish people? No. Okay. No.
If you're listening to The Worst Day of My Life, you better fucking believe it's going to be the worst things that we can talk about. Okay. So in the ICU, laying there was the most like miserable I've ever been in my entire life. So it was like, I'm laying there on my back with both arms like palms up next to me on either side of me. I'm trying to describe for people that are just listening and not seeing what I'm doing with my hands right now.
Yeah, she's raising her hands upward.
Yep. Okay. So,
palms up.
Palms up. Palms up.
Yeah.
So, I'm laying in the hospital bed, palms up on both sides. On my left arm is all of my like IV fluids and medications and things like that. And in my right arm is this pump thing that's pumping the like enzyme to dissolve the blood clot or whatever.
Yeah.
So I can't move either of my hands. And I'm just like sitting there on my back in so much pain that I can't sleep. I can't do anything. Like the maximum of what I could do was like, I could change the channel on the TV. That's all. The nurse that was there was so fucking awesome. She was so sweet. And she kept checking on me throughout the night. It'd be like 2 a.m. and I'm just laying there like, awake, and she'd be like, oh, you're still awake, I'm sorry. And she'd like bring me more pain meds, and then she'd come and check on me at like 3 and be like, oh, you're still awake, I'm so sorry. And she'd like bring me more pain meds. she finally did Dilaudid like straight into my IV, and that finally like knocked me out. But that was it. And like, so I had to live like that for two days. And then the next thing to do is to like remove the whole sprinkler system, the whole enzyme, whatever thing, pump, remove that, and then like put the thing in to puff up the vein or whatever and get the blood flowing again. We did all that. And as soon as they got that pump thing out, because I felt like I had a metal wire up my arm and sitting in my chest. Like, you know how like a splinter hurts? Like this was like, it was insane. Like it felt so terrible. I don't even remember what it was like, but it was terrible.
Yeah.
But as soon as they got that out, I slept for like 24 hours, I'm pretty sure. Like I woke up and there was like flowers and cards and like shit there that people had left. Like people had came and visited me and sat there for hours with me, and I had no idea. I was just totally fucking asleep. Like I slept so hard. That was only like the tip of the iceberg, because in doing that surgery, this vascular surgeon discovered that the reason why I got this blood clot is because my collarbone and my first rib are too close to each other. And that happens, my friends, from slouching your whole life. So if you slouch or your children slouch, you can be a dick about it, make them stand up straight, because over time your bones start to change shape and do things that they're not supposed to do. So that's what happened in my case, is my collarbone and my first rib were too close together, and there's a nice like big fat artery or vein or whatever, I don't know, that runs through the middle there that was getting smashed over and over and over again, and it built up a whole bunch of like scar tissue in there and caused me to get the blood clot. The choice that was given to me was stay on blood thinners for the rest of your life, or get your first rib removed. The thing that was scary about my blood clot is that pieces of it were in my lungs. So I had multiple, what they call it, pulmonary emboli. They were small enough that the blood thinners were supposed to like, you know, do the trick in like dissolving those, but any like false, especially in those like 2 weeks leading up to getting it dissolved, could have like dislodged this 6 centimeter blood clot, which would have sent it straight to my lungs and I would have been dead.
Yeah.
They told me it went through my heart too and didn't stop
nuts.
in my heart, but yeah.
Thank goodness. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have killed me too. So anyway, this blood clot happening at the time, I was like, what the fuck? I'm like 30. What was I? 30? I was probably 30 years old.
Yeah.
Like, I have been healthy up until this point. I just quit smoking, you know, like I was like, God damn it. And then the more I got thinking about it, I was like, you know what? That could have killed me. I go to work every single day at a job that I hate, that, you know, I loved my coworkers, I did, but it's not what I wanted to be doing with my life, you know, and it takes up so much of your life.
Yeah.
And then I was coming home, straight home to a husband that would not let me leave, would not let me, you know, spend time with anybody else. You know, I was miserable being there with him. And then I would get up the next day and fucking go back to work at the job that I was miserable at. You know, it was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, if you just died right then, you would not have lived any kind of life. You know, you're not living up to your potential.
Right.
So I left the job.
It's like the same thing, like when, you know, like a relationship is over, but you don't want to be the person to end it. Like, you know, you like hope the other person ends it so you don't have to or something.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was definitely kind of a situation. But even before the job was gone, the husband was gone.
Yeah.
That was really hard. I know this is like more of a serious episode, but it is what it is. These were some of our worst days.
We're talking about the worst days of our lives.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're not always funny.
No. But this blood clot ended up being absolutely 100% like the best thing that ever happened to me, because I suddenly had the courage to leave a really shitty, miserable situation. And I would not have had that. I would have sat there forever and just been miserable because, and I'm just going to say this just in case anybody is out there in that situation. My thing was, I divorced Sophie's dad, Dave. And when that happened, everyone was really upset with me. And we did it because we were not in love with each other. We loved each other. We were like best friends, but we weren't in love with each other. Everyone was really upset because everyone fucking loves Dave. I mean, who doesn't love Dave? I mean, he's the greatest. In my mind, not only would I be the person who got divorced twice before they were, you know, 30 or whatever, 31, I didn't want to be that person, but I didn't want to get like all the scrutiny and all the pain and all the shit that I got before. I went through a stage where like my mom didn't talk to me after me and Dave got divorced.
Oh, wow.
But, yeah. But that blood clot gave me the like, fuck it attitude. I was like, I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. I don't care if anybody has shit to say about me getting divorced twice. I'm getting divorced. Like, I'm not trapped in this. I feel trapped. I'm not. Fuck it. Bye. So did that. Best fucking feeling in the world. It was so hard to leave that house, but like had to do it. Had to like get that baggage out. So got rid of the house, got rid of the nice car, got rid of the husband, got rid of the job, had the surgery to get my rib removed, which sucked dick. And then I started completely over at like 30 something years old. And that's when I decided that having my photography be a business and going, you know, into it full, you know, gung-ho into it was necessary. That's what I wanted to do. And I'd been wanting to do it that whole time and never just did it. So it pushed me in all of the right directions and was just like such a blessing in disguise. Like shitty things happen to us all the time. All the time. And you know, both of us can just kind of laugh about it and be like, well, it's not that big of a deal, you know, like it'll put us in the right direction. It'll put us where we're supposed to go, you know. The reason why I'm so afraid of COVID is because one of my lungs completely sucks now. When they took my rib out, they had to like deflate one of my lungs, and when it like reinflated it, I don't know, there's like scar tissue in it or something like that, but it sucks and I can feel it. And when I exercise, I started having panic attacks when I get any kind of like actual cardiovascular exercise, because breathing hard like scares the shit out of me, because I can feel that my left lung is like inflating all the way and my right lung is just like sputtering,
like lagging.
It's just, you can feel like it's just not, you can't not get a full breath. I don't know how to describe it.
Wow.
But it sucks. But that happened. 1, 2 was my eye. They nicked like some kind of ocular nerve or something like that in my neck when they did that surgery, and it made it so that my right eye like doesn't dilate. So if I'm in like a dark room, my left eye will dilate really big, and my right eye, like my right pupil stays really tiny, and it looks really weird. I also have like you can't see it right now. Oh yeah, you kind of can. I have all these like weird blue veins in my chest.
Oh yeah. I remember you talking about your blue.
And like part of it is because my like vein doctor said that when blood's like a river, you know, and when it gets like blocked, it'll like break off into like the smaller streams, like what is going on here, all that blue stuff. And even when you like unblock that river, it still continues to go the way that's working right now. So like I'm always gonna have weird like blue veins there.
Well, I think it's like made you like kind of like a like I think I said this before, like kind of like a super, I don't know, like when the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or whatever like came in contact with the like toxic. I mean, like now I just feel like you're just like 10 times, you know, more of the badass that you already were, because now you're like, you have like some kind of like
now I'm a toxic bionic eye mutant.
Well, no, you have like a bionic eye. You have like cool blue veins.
I have a scar. I have a cool scar.
You got gnarly scar. Yeah, it's just like, you know.
But the thing that sucks about it is like when they take your first rib, there's like four little muscles that are connected to it that go up into your neck. They're called scalenes. And when they take your first rib, they have to cut through two of those, and they just let them, they're like curtain, like blinds, they said. Like
weird.
Shooting up. They're like, they like shoot up and then they just stay there and just like die.
Weird.
So I only have 2 on my right side and 4 on my left side. And from sitting and working at like desk jobs all the time and having, you know, sitting like with your shoulders all high up and shitty. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so my left scalenes are super, super tight and like up really high. And the ones on my right, 2 of them are missing. So my right shoulder droops down super low. So my shoulders sit completely crooked, and that makes my entire back and spine crooked and all fucked up. And then my fucking right leg is shorter than my left one too. So then everything on that side is like completely crooked and sideways. And that's why I have chronic pain and why I always throw my back out.
Right.
Oh, and did you know that the whole like right side of my face, like it feels to me like it's drooping even when it's not. So like my eye from that surgery feels really heavy, and I have to like kind of hold it like open after that. And then a surgery that I had to have in my mouth later made this whole side of my mouth completely numb. So I can't feel it at all. So, you know, like when you go to the dentist,
right.
You get like your gums numbed and you feel like your lip is huge and like swollen and like drooping. That's how my lip feels all the time.
Whoa. See, I didn't know that. I did not know that was going on.
So that's nuts. Like I can look in a mirror and be like, oh, I look fine. But but when I'm not looking in a mirror, it feels like my face is like this, like just drooping off because I can't feel, I'm all like numb and weird. Like I can stab my lip and not feel anything. It's just like nerve damage. It's so stupid. But it was like the best, worst day of my life. It ended up being so awesome. Like, I'm so glad that happened to me.
Well, the crazy part to me, like, I mean, aside from like the obvious, was just because I remember you interacting with like Patrick when you were going through that and stuff, and you'd like come over to, I think we're over at another friend's house, and you were like talking about, you know, it was just kind of like a common thing to talk about people you were dating and all of that. And you were talking about how you'd met, you know, this guy on the OkCupid app or whatever. And it was just like, so it was just like scary at first to me because of
to everyone.
And not that not like, of course, you know, not that I didn't trust your judgment, but just knowing, you know, it's like a lot of those really, like the relationship, like prior, if it's been kind of, you know, like toxic and bad, then it's like, you know, it doesn't always work out, where the next one is, you know, just, it seems like sometimes people just keep going down the road of, you know, like assholes or whatever. So it was like, and then the intentions, like you were kind of in a weird place, you know, it was like, is this a person that's gonna take advantage of my friend? She's in a vulnerable position, or, you know, is this guy just looking for like a skeezy hookup? I mean, I didn't know too much about him other than just like what, you know, you told me about him, and then, you know, like what I probably showed me a picture or whatever. But I was already had it set up in my mind that I just didn't even want to like Patrick. Like I was already, you know, like the first meeting when we went to Quality Burrito, it's just like, you know, already just kind of had my guard up and was like, I'm not going to like this guy. So I'm just going to kind of be like, kind of guarded and, you know, like not, because a lot of times I'll give people the benefit of the doubt, but I just already had it so in my mind that I was going to hate this person, and they were, you know, going to be shitty to my friend, and like, she doesn't need this shit, you know, like, and then he was just like, and then I met him and I was like, great.
Yeah.
Like all of those, all that went out the window, and I'm like, great. I like this guy like instantaneously, and there wasn't like couldn't find anything like even the slightest to complain about. Like, well, he said that one thing, or like, are you sure, or anything. And so that was just crazy. But
well, you were not the only person to have
I'm sure
reaction. Like everyone did. I didn't want to even date anybody that soon. I actually broke up with him almost immediately when we started kind of hanging out a lot, just because I saw what his ex-wife situation was becoming. And right, I could tell, and I was like, I don't that looks messy. Why don't you call me when you're done with it? But then we hung out again, and I just couldn't. But I told him when we met, I said, I'm not good at deciding who to date. I tend to do what I call like having like rose colored glasses or whatever, like and it makes it really hard to see red flags. Like, because I get, I mean, the whole reason I fell for husband number 2 was because, Dave and I were so just buddy. That husband number 2 gave me so much attention and so much affection and all that stuff that I was like lacking in my first marriage. And I was like, oh my God, this is so great. He's like so into me. And then he's like, where are you? What are you doing? Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh my God. He's like, he like wants to, he's like so into me. He like wants to know what I'm doing, where I am. And it's like, you hang out with me all the time. And it's like, cool. Like he just wants to be close to him. And I was like, oh my God, wait. After I married him, it was like, oh shit, never mind. He's a psycho.
Yeah.
But I told Patrick, like, I'm not good at picking partners. So I've been divorced twice, obviously. I'm not good at it. And I said, there's a gauntlet of people that you need to go through, and they all need to approve of you in order for us to be an item. And you were like number 1 on that gauntlet. There's also like my parents, Dave, my brother, whatever. And everyone had the same reaction. I don't even want to meet him. I'm not like they weren't ready for it, which I get. I wasn't ready either.
Yeah.
But then they all met him and they were like, okay, yeah.
Good guy. And he's continued to, but I mean, with the whole, with like the divorce thing, I mean, I think that maybe for some people that don't get married, because it's not like I saw you like during the course of time that I've known you go through like, tons and tons of like boyfriends. I feel like you just had a boyfriend and then they became a husband. Whereas like, it's like, I don't think you should feel bad about, like divorce per se.
I don't.
It's just, it's just kind of like, but I mean, like for your past self or anybody else that might be concerned about kind of that sort of thing, because I mean, some people just stay in like domestic partnerships for extremely long periods of time that would even, like surpass, I guess, or considered common law marriage just based off of, but if you're, like miserable, or there's like, to me, and that's kind of when I met you, was like talking about, being in a relationship with, because I had gone through, like kind of somewhat similar, different situation, but like the whole idea that if you have, a child with someone, we didn't stay together when Savannah was born, but it was like, proposed a few years later to, like try to do like a marriage type thing to sort of be in a, 2 parents living in the same household, even though we knew we weren't like in love with each other, or, it's just kind of like we were going to be there to co-parent in the same home. But that always makes things weird because it's like you can't really just comfortably date other people. And if you're not in love with your child's other parent, and maybe there's even strife or, discord or whatever, like kids, that makes a really shitty environment, you know, sometimes for kids to have, because I definitely lived with parents that hated each other. And I, you know, whether I loved one parent equally or more than the other parent or whatever, I really did not want to live with two parents that hated each other. So it was constant, you know, tension, fighting, you know, sadness,
that's why,
not, you know, snide remarks, you know.
That's why, you know, Dave and I didn't draw anything out for a long period of time and say like, oh, you know, let's work on it, let's do this and that, because it was like, we know how we feel about each other, and it's not, you know, romantic love. And like, Sophie was 2, and we were like, if we separate now and live in different places and she starts going to each other's houses, that's all she's ever going to know. And that's all she does know. She doesn't remember us ever being together. And she's like, she's fine with that. But she never had to grow up with us fighting or like, you know, which we were definitely at that point where, you know, we didn't like each other very much. But and now, you know, now she has this weird 3-parent family shit going on, but she loves it. Whatever.
But yeah, if it's like, if it means being in separate spaces to do that, you know, it's like sometimes that is I don't know how we got to this. We like our near death experiences took this turn, but I was just thinking of like the positive things that like, at least I, you know, and especially, you know, it's just kind of your the shift or whatever post your experience with the blood clot and everything, you know, it's like a night and day kind of thing, especially with, you know, I think just even being your authentic self and like seeing how you interact with like people and going with you at times that I do with your photography clients and stuff. And how you're able to engage and be like real, you know, with them. Like, I don't think you, prior to that experience, you weren't quite where you are with that now. Like, I don't feel like you were comfortable around people, you know, that you didn't know.
Never. I never would do something like this. I would be way too worried about like being judged. But now, like, I truly, genuinely do not give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like,
and you don't have the RBF. You don't have the RBF anymore.
Look at my resting smiley face.
Yeah.
Resting happy face.
Yeah. You two seem genuinely happy.
Should we just close it then?
Well, I just don't want to not give enough attention to Patrick's, you know, story.
Fuck
like
him.
Or let it be like have it be too rushed because, you know, because of the time factor.
Yeah. I mean, well, his is pretty quick though.
Okay. Well, if you want to, I should probably like a next in the next 10, 15.
Yeah, that sounds that's all. That's more than enough. So Patrick's story, I'm not going to go into a ton of detail because I don't know the detail and I will fuck it up if I try to.
Yeah.
But he was in the army. He was in Afghanistan in some sort of vehicle that I can't remember the name of, but it's like a armored truck essentially. And they were driving along and they hit an IED. And it was 350 pounds of explosives. So it blew this truck up and apart like a can, like a tin can. Patrick's head went straight up into the ceiling of the vehicle. His helmet split completely in half and his head went into the ceiling. There's a big gnarly like blood splatter picture that is from his head. After that, he was completely knocked out, obviously, and like knocked from the explosion, and his buddies are trying to get him aid and get him into a helicopter and get him out of there, of course, like they are everybody that's injured. And they're being shot at, and he gets shot in the arm while he's being like carried away to a helicopter.
God.
Like he's completely knocked out, like looks like a dead body, and he gets shot in the arm with like an AK-47, like a
nice
large gnarly round. Anyway, he was in a coma. I think it was like 2 weeks or something. When he woke up, he had to learn how to talk. He had to learn how to walk. He had to learn how to write. He had to learn everything. He was in a wheelchair, all kinds of crazy shit. But when he got better and realized that life is short, he left his wife and like got rid of all of his shit and decided he was gonna live in a tiny house. And then we met each other. So without him having that accident, they wouldn't have moved to Washington, according to him.
Yeah.
So we never would have met either. So really, like, all of that stuff really put us in the right place where we needed to be at the time. And that's kind of how I see things now. Like, even when bad shit happens, it's like, it's cool. It's probably just, I don't want to be all like woo woo, but probably just like the universe, kind of getting you lined up for something good.
Yeah, absolutely.
So don't sweat the small stuff. Just, it happens, shit happens. It's okay. Life goes on. It could always be worse.
It could always be, it could always be worse.
Well, I love you so much, and I think that you're beautiful, and I'm glad that I got to see your beautiful face today instead of just being on the phone. Hopefully we get to record actually in person at some point soon.
Yes.
Oh, this got cut from the other one, and I need to say it in this one real quick. The podcast hashtag still here. If you haven't listened to it yet, give it a little listen. It's a friend of the show. It's they tell stories about all kinds of shit, but like even like serial killers and things like that, people that survived that didn't get killed. And it's really good. It's really interesting. It's a good show. It's called Hashtag Still Here. Give it a listen if you get a chance.
But
go
eat. Love you too.
Go
eat some razor clams that we captured.
That's so cool.
All right.
I love you.